Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Masters of Self University podcast. I'm your host, Ellie Lee.
And I'm your host, Morley.
And I think it's safe to say that you and I are going through a very frustrating time right now. And, I think I have to constantly come back to this is all a part of the journey. It ebbs and flows. There are highs and there are lows. And I think you and I both have just been going through a very difficult period. I think that every part of my journey has been difficult. Like I wish there was, there have been times of definite relief and all of those things. But it's been a really, really hard time for us, I think, individually in our relationship. And for me personally, I find myself nowhere and everywhere, feeling nothing and everything at the same time. And particularly for me today, if I'm just going to be raw, I'm just really frustrated. Definitely running programs of frustration, of wanting to give up, of not understanding anything or why I feel the way that I do or I am the way that I am. And I can just feel the programs running as I say all of these things. And this morning I woke up with a lot of anxiety and a lot of resistance to living and wanting to get through the day. And I feel like that's been a huge part of my life, of getting up every day and wanting to get through the day and just not truly living, but just trying to get by. And it's not a joyful place to be. But I also am honoring that I know the more that I'm aware of that and the more that I spend time with those feelings and those emotions, I know that where I'm headed is far different than where I used to be. Because before it used to be this, there's nowhere to go and there's no one to be and nowhere to be. And now it's this sense of, I know that every day that I get to spend time with this, I'm arriving at a place where there is going to be so much beauty and presence and hope and joy. But we're moving through a lot of growing pains right now.
I mean, this morning when I woke up, I felt the all familiar feels of depression, and I felt the feeling that I've not had in a while, which is to live another day like this, I would rather not live. I'd rather just be dead and not experience another day of this misery and this suffering. And then the thought came through of I guess this is kind of how Ellie feels all the time. And definitely brought a reverence of compassion for you and what you share with me and what I can tell you're feeling and moving through. Because I've definitely had periods of my life where I've been like that, maybe not to the depths where you go, but definitely periods of true misery, of not wanting to live, not wanting to go on. And me too, I'm in this big period of frustration. Frustrated that my life is the way that it is, that I'm having to experience what it is that I'm experiencing. Most of my frustration comes from the fact that I just want help. I just feel so helpless and I don't know how to be. I don't know how to handle what it is that I'm feeling. And I, as a partner, always look to you for help. And I can feel myself projecting that frustration onto you. Why aren't you stopping and dropping everything for me? Because I'm in pain right now. And I can really recognize that program, and it's healing. It's getting better and better, but it's still coming throughout this frustration. Because I'm sure if you listen to this podcast, you understand that we project our shit onto our partners, whatever it is that we experienced as kids and how we feel towards our parents. What we still harbor normally does come out to our romantic partners, our loved ones, and also work relationships and close friendships. They come out in all a host of places, but definitely comes out in mine and Ellie's partnership.
Yeah. Today I experienced a lot of anger towards a particular parent in my life. And, as you were talking about like this not wanting to live, this dread, this, and you were like, how old do you feel? And I was just like, man, I've been like this forever. I've just been like this forever. I've lived most of my life in suffering. And yesterday I was talking to Rachel, and Rachel, was talking to me, deeply just about her journey. And she said, every time I'm suffering, I come back to, well, in what ways of oneness am I not living in right now?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, gosh, damn it. And like, for me, I'm definitely still not living in the way of surrender. I'm still definitely not living in the way of patience. I just want it all to just end so I can just feel happy. Like today I was texting one of our beloved people at MSU, and she was like, how are you today? And like, it's such a powerful question to ask somebody. And when you energetically just create that space for someone to just kind of spill and just kind of vent. And she's like, how are you feeling today? And I was just like, man, I'm just not feeling great. I'm feeling real super low. And I'm feeling like I just don't want to get out of bed today. And her response back to me was really beautiful. She was like, what a beautiful place to be. And I was like, gosh, damn it. I was like, man, and it's true. It's the awareness that we bring to it. It's the lens in which we look into all of it. And I think the way that I look at everything is just so much misery and suffering still. And it's still the awareness of how attached I am to this narrative and to this pain, and to every day is just miserable. And I really do feel like I'm in this place in my journey where I'm really recognizing how much I am addicted and attached to my life being this way. And I was on a trip to Texas recently, and everything in my environment is telling me like I should be happy right now. I'm experiencing new things, experiencing new people. I'm in a different location. And yet I was still being attacked by anxiety and like depression and misery. And so like I just kept dropping in, and I kept allowing myself to feel what it was there. And it was just like, all I know is to be sad. And when I'm not sad, it doesn't feel right to me. And so I'm in acceptance, and I actually am in honoring of the fact that I'm in this place where I recognize that. But because before it was so unconscious. Before it was like, well, this is it, Ellie. And now it's like, it's not it, Ellie. You're just learning how to energetically detach and see how attached you are to the pain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how attached are you to the pain?
I'm very attached to the pain. I'm very attached that this is my story. This is my life, that there's nothing else other than this. And it's a really sad place to live. It's really sad to be so attached to your programs that you truly believe that this is the reality. Like, there is a part of me that truly believes that all I am is miserable, and all I am is sad. And all I do is wear a million masks to cover up the fact that I feel this way, that I am this way. And it's only when, how you have these moments where you even ask me today, like, how are you feeling? Like, I'm giving you the space to allow to share. And still, like, even when you allow me to share, I'm still so resistant to it. Like, I still can't even fully express or like share, because like I'm so caught up in the misery of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we often end up on this topic of energetic detachment. And there's what it brought up in my mind was that fine line of, oh, well, let me just detach from everything. Let me just detach, and almost like detaching from your mind about saying, oh, okay, like I've got nothing to do with this, as a form of bypassing from like actually feeling it. And what we're talking about here is an energetic form of detachment, where we're able to go in and pull out energetically these programs and say, okay, I do feel like misery right now. I feel miserable, but I know I'm not miserable. And like arriving at that place, there's times in my journey where I really feel this, where I'm able to take these programs off and say, oh, look, I'm experiencing this misery, but I know it's not the truth of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
The truth of who I am is this. But the phase I'm in right now is not there, and I don't know if it's because it's a deeper layer of what it is that I'm experiencing, but it's definitely a battle, and this is what we talk about when we talk about the spiritual warrior. This is someone that is willing to go in. You mentioned earlier that you just you want to feel happy.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wants to feel happy, of course they do, they're human. But how we go about getting there and what is true actual happiness. I used to think that I was happy, and a lot of it was all masked by the fact that I was just using alcohol. Alcohol made me very happy. When I was a late teen and all throughout my 20s, my early 20s at least, you gave me a couple pints of beer and I was super happy. Take that beer away, put me alone somewhere, I'm not going to be that same happy person without those couple pints of beer. And that's, to me, not what true happiness is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to feel truly happy is to be okay with whatever it is that we're experiencing. And that feels like the lesson that's coming. One of the lessons that's coming through for me right now is, can I be the warrior? And even when the things aren't great, can I still show up for myself in a loving way and for others?
Yeah, the concept of being happy is, I that's very programmed into us.
Yeah.
Which is like dishonoring the emotions that come when you're not happy. And like the idea that you always need to be happy or you always should be happy is so toxic, and it's dehumanizing in many ways. And the truth of the matter is that most of the time I'm not happy. And then the question is, well, this is one of the most poignant things that I've learned from Rachel is like the human experience will have pain. It's inevitable. She always uses the example of someone's going to die, right?
Yeah.
But it's how much I hate the pain is what keeps me in suffering. And trust me, I'm still on the journey. So it's not like when I'm experiencing pain, I don't fall into the suffering. But the difference between now is like catching myself as I'm suffering. And it's like questioning like, Ellie, what programs are you running right now that you're feeling lower than you need to?
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a way, it's because it's all I know. And it's a way that I keep myself in these cycles. It's almost like because these programs have their own consciousness, they don't want to die. So they convince me to stay in this place. And my job now is to just bring awareness and love to the pain that I'm experiencing. And it's so funny because every time I take the moment to actually drop in and honor what's coming up, like this morning when I woke up, this morning was interesting because I woke up and I was actually physically like hyperventilating and my body was shaking. And I was like, like I was going through that. And so I was like, all right, I'll just take this moment to drop in and just feel and allow this emotion and these physical sensations to be here. And the moment I did that, I felt so much better. Because I wasn't running. I wasn't doing anything else. I could have done a million other things. I could have taken even something as simple as like taking a shower. Mm-hmm. Like when I'm in it, like my mom would just be like, well, go take a shower and you'll feel better. And then you can drop in. It's like all of these little things that are constantly trying to make me not feel what is present right now. And then the moment I just dropped in and I just allowed myself to feel everything and open to all of it, like I felt so much better afterwards because you were honoring what is. And it's the dishonoring what is and the resistance to what is that keeps us in this cycle, that keeps us in suffering, that keeps us looping over and over and over again. And it doesn't mean that in that moment, all of a sudden I'm happy skipping around. It's like, I feel so much better that I honor that pain, and whatever comes up for the rest of the day, I have an opportunity to constantly just honor what is, to be okay with what is, to love what is. And that's why I know like every day that I do this, I'm further reaching the point of healing this energy. And I just have to honor that it's been with me for so long that it's going to take a minute. And that's where I struggle too of like, when's this going to be over? When's it going to be okay? When's it going to be done? And it's like, again, what way are you not living in, Ellie? Because it will take as long as it will take.
And there's a fine line between falling into the shadow, which I know we've spoke about before on this podcast, like falling into that place of, I'm just getting lost in what it is that you're experiencing, lost in that suffering, lost in the misery, versus feeling the misery and feeling it from your heart and allowing it to be there without resistance, but going into it and really feeling it in its totality. And as we mentioned earlier, like detaching ourselves from the actual energy of what it is we're experiencing so that we can love it, so that we can see that it's not the truth of us. It's just an experience that we're having now, and not saying that from our mind, not convincing ourselves, oh, I'm just having this miserable experience. None of this is real because reality doesn't real and time doesn't exist and blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, you can get lost in all this spiritual, philosophical stuff that says all that. But like, what are you actually feeling in that moment? Can you go in and feel the misery in all of its totality and be connected to your heart and feel it start to transform? Or are you just getting lost in your shadow? And for the last couple of months, I've been doing that a lot of like these deeper waves have been coming up and I've been getting slightly like lost. And I don't know if it's because I feel slightly uninspired at the moment. I feel very disconnected from myself. And now I'm talking about and expressing it, you know, it's making me realize I'm probably just allowing the programs to win. I'm allowing those programs to take over and to disconnect me. And over the last couple of days, while you were away, like I really got some time to spend with myself and to find that warrior again and to find that part of me that like doesn't want to allow these programs to take over because they are just programs, and to ignite that spark inside of me that's like, no, I'm gonna fight, and the way I'm gonna fight is to show love to whatever it is and not to be afraid to go into the feeling.
It's like truly, you know, when we talk about the simplicity of the work that we teach at Masters of Self University, is literally the first question is, what programs are you running right now? And that they are just energies and we're giving them so much power and we're giving into them. And we're in the battle, but we're actually not in any battle because we're giving everything to these programs instead of, how can I become aware of what I'm running? And then how can I bring awareness and love to it? And it's like this morning, you know, as I'm, you know, moving through this entire day, there are moments where I'm like, I'm okay. It's like, Ellie, that's why this is like, this whole thing is like, what's been coming to my life a lot is like, people have been telling me like to say mantras and affirmations when it's like, sis, I've been doing that for years. Okay. Me telling myself I'm safe, I am powerful, I am beautiful, I'm okay. It's like, they're just words. If you're not actually in the becoming of the integration of the energies of what it actually means to say, I'm okay. If me saying I'm okay, if that fixed everything, I'd be okay right now. Yeah. I'd be healed right now. But it's like, are you actually doing the work to be in the energetic experience of I'm okay? You know, so it's like this morning when I was like, I'm okay. It's like, Ellie, instead of just saying I'm okay, why don't you feel into what it is that's coming up to get you to a place where you can really say from power, I'm okay. So what I did was I'm okay came up. I heard my mind saying that, right? Which is like such a like an easy, fast way of like, I'm okay, which is just bypassing the fact that you're not okay. So honor the fact that you're not okay right now. And then I got to this place where I'm like, oh, I'm okay because I'm honoring the fact that I'm not okay. And that actually makes me feel better because I'm in the experience of not bypassing, but of literally not dismissing the fact that I don't feel okay.
Yeah. The words that we have, they are energy and they do have code. So we can use words like it's why it's called spelling, you know, it's you casting spells. There is an energy behind the words that we use. But if I'm telling myself from my mind that I'm okay, when unconsciously what's happening is, let's just say that I'm okay counts for 1% of you, and 99% of your shadow is saying, I'm not fucking okay right now. That 1% of you saying it over and over again is never going to eliminate that 99% that's hiding in your blind spot. So this is where the conversation of like reprogramming comes in, where we can say things over and over again, and you can program your brain to think I'm okay. But if you have an unconscious part of you, an energy living within you that isn't okay, that part of you is always going to manifest and create your life from an unconscious place. So that's why the work that we do is to honor the fact, like these, like, create these parts of us that do feel okay, but look at what's hiding back there. Look at what's hiding in your darkest corners, because it's those parts of you which are going to ruin your experience of life. It's going to create that dis-ease in your life, whether that be physically, mentally, emotionally, however it is that we're co-creating this experience. It's those parts of us that are hiding. And through this work, we're trying to shine that shadow on, shine the light on that shadow.
Yeah, because I had someone recently tell me, well, you trick your brain. You trick your brain into believing that you're safe and you're okay and all these things. And I'm like, that is the biggest BS. And because I did reprogramming for a long time, it doesn't do anything. For the momentary moment, you convince yourself of something, but you're not actually healing anything. And it's like, I'm just so done with listening to all of that, because it's just us showing up powerless every time, saying that we don't have it within us to really fully heal and face what is actually coming up for us. And so it's like, there are days like today where I'm like, I hear my mind, just give up. Like, it's hopeless, right? And it's like, no, you just want me to stay the way that I've always been. And in reality, like, I'm so done with living the way that I've always lived. Like, I'm so done with it. And I think that's what keeps me going constantly. Is like, when we say this is warriors work, we're not saying that because that sounds good. And like, we want to sound like we're badasses. Like, truly, until you do this work, you won't understand what it means to even say the words like, I'm a warrior. Because a warrior literally goes into the pain. And that is not easy. And nobody wants to do it. Of course, nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to feel uncomfortable feelings. Nobody wants to actually feel what's in their blind spots. Nobody wants to actually face it. It is easier for us to do all like the other routes to get to feeling better. Yeah. And in reality, it's like, well, I've tried all of those things so many times. And like, what keeps me coming back to this work is like, I know that every time I go into the pain, every time I go in, I'm just getting stronger and I'm healing more. And it will take as long. I keep saying that it will, because this is something that I have to constantly remind myself. Like, Ellie, you're 36. You started this work at 35, which means you have 35 years of repressed, suppressed pain that you are now allowing yourself to feel and go into. So become truly the way of patience, and be patient with this journey, however long it takes, and then not to judge myself because I need to be here and I need to be doing this and I should be there. It's like, you don't need to be anywhere. That's just your programs again running.
Yeah, the concept of a warrior, some people might be listening, but like, why are you talking about warriors? There is a world war going on right now. It's just not being fought in the necessarily like physical realm. The warriors right now are the people that are going in on the mental and emotional level and the spiritual, because the war that we're facing is all in our minds. It's all of the conditioning, all of the programs that the collective have gifted us, if you want to call it a gift, have given us through all of the conditioning. It's our responsibility to go in and heal all of that. All of the programs and conditioning that we got from our parents, everything that is vibrating at a less frequency or vibration than unconditional love needs to be addressed. Anything that is in fear needs to be looked at, because if that vibration lives within me, I'm at some point projecting it consciously or unconsciously onto another person, and therefore in some level I'm going to be causing harm. The mission that humanity is really on is to find all these parts of us so that we can be in the ways of oneness and be more loving. That everyone talks about the ascension, fifth dimensional stuff. Like, all that stuff, it starts within ourselves. It starts within this work. And that's why we talk about this idea of a spiritual warrior. And we are in a battle. It's happening right now. Watch the news, watch a commercial on TV, and see the programs that are being put into you. Every time you watch a TV show, it's called a TV program. It's literally in the name. It couldn't be more obvious. You're being programmed every time you watch TV. Not to say not to watch TV. We love watching movies. But to be aware of, what is it that I'm consuming right now? Because these programs are coming in, and it's going to teach us to think and feel in a certain way. And so this is the battleground that's being fought right now. It's not necessarily out there, it's in here. And we all know, as within, so without, as above, so below, the old proverb goes. So whatever it is that we're consciously or unconsciously thinking and feeling, we're going to create that in our lives. And so this path of creation that every human is on is to really master the mental and emotional realms first, which is the work we do at MSU.
Which requires you to show up for yourself, to take responsibility of yourself, which is not an easy thing to do. There's so much bypassing out in the spiritual healing world. Like yesterday, I had this like moment where I truly realized like what meditation was for me for such a long time. Meditation is, they feed you that meditation is beautiful, and it is, and it's amazing, and it creates this beautiful space for you not to be caught in the chaos of like your mind, right? Meditation, the beautiful thing about that, it was like for the first time I had peace, right? For that 20 minutes, for that 1 hour, whatever. But then I started using it as a way for me not to feel what was coming up for me. So meditation became two things for me. It was a way for me to not feel the panic and the fear and all that stuff was coming up. And then I also started using meditation as a way for me to leave the human experience. So I would try to constantly like look through my third eye and get lost in like all of that, because it was constant avoidance of the human experience, constant avoidance of human emotions. It was a way for me to escape and bypass. And where we're at in our world right now, you think like we've been through the rough of it. Baby boo, we just getting started.
Where do you think we're going? What do you think is just getting started? Let's go into that.
I think what we're doing is we are witnessing the crumbling down of everything that we've ever known, down to our food, our water, our entertainment, our public health system, our government, our education, everything. We are literally in what they are calling the greatest time in human incarnation, because we are here to witness the falling down of it all. And I can only say that because of what I'm witnessing in what we call the Great Awakening. Like literally watching souls wake up to see through the veils of illusion. Yesterday I was saying like the tricky thing about brainwashing is that you don't know that you're being brainwashed.
This is what I was talking about. It's exactly it. Is the battleground that's being fought now is up here.
Yeah.
And it's such a high level that you have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea that's even happening to you. I didn't. And then you start doing this work and you start understanding how programs work. And you're like, okay. I realize I've been just conditioned to think this way. I've been conditioned to think these certain things. And I'll let all the listeners explore what it is that, they think societally they've been conditioned to think.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No.
And I was just going to say, and it's sly and it's sneaky and it's tricky. And my challenge to you would be, if you're triggered by anything that goes against the grain, that's being said, that goes against the narrative, go into what that's bringing up for you and why you're being triggered. Like people, the whole thing about being triggered, we think it's such a bad thing, truly. And the start of this work is identify the triggers that are going on, because they are clues into what you're not feeling and what you're not seeing and what you're not going into. And so if something that someone says triggers you and pulls you out of peace, there's your gift. Open it up and go into it and see what it brings up within you.
Yeah, I went this last weekend, was a wedding in Vegas, and it's like the ultimate place for all of that brainwashing, the conditioning that we're talking about right now. And it was really interesting seeing it all through the lens that I'm in right now, and just seeing people get really drunk and I put 10 bucks down on roulette, lost it immediately. Was like, okay, that was it. That was my little go. And it's just really interesting to go to a place like that. I'm happy I only went for a couple of days. I couldn't spend a long time there, and to see all of the illusion, all of the facade, all of the everything's kind of fake there, and you're brainwashed to think, oh, you come to Vegas and you get wasted, and we're in Vegas, man. Like, that's the attitude of like, yeah, go to get Vegas. Like, you see it everywhere. That's my interpretation of Vegas, is like, oh, it's where like stag and hen do's, or bachelor bachelorettes, you say over here, like those parties go, and it's where like high roller men go to the nightclubs and the day clubs and do all the gambling and I'm assuming the prostitutes and all whatever comes with it. And it's just interesting to look at it and then just see how far away we've come from what it really means to be connected to yourself as a human being, because that place is like the antithesis of connection to self. It's like, how far away can I get from myself and what nature is? It's this concrete, steroided up, electric place that's in the middle of the desert with like, there's no really life around. Like, you look out, you can see the mountains and stuff, but there's no like natural life. And then in the middle of this lifeless desert, there's this like pseudo life. It's very strange.
It's very symbolic too.
You're right. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah. It's a wild place, and it was showing me a lot, and really showing me like, I was with friends that were drinking, and I'm not there anymore. And
no judgment if you are.
No.
Yeah.
No, I had some really good years with alcohol. I never recorded a podcast about before.
Me too, with weed.
Yeah. I've had some like amazing experiences, and it served me for a long time. And the beautiful thing about this work is I'm at a place now where I can look at all that and I know the outcome. I've done it so many times, and I know it's chasing something that isn't connect. It's like an unquenchable thirst. And it might feel good for me at the time, but when I wake up the next day hungover, and I'm like, why did I drink that much? Why did I get so lost like last night? And, we're all looking for ourselves. We look for it in different places, and we have this illusion that it's outside of us. We look for it in relationships and in bottles and other recreational drugs, in sports, in achievements, in work. And it always comes back to, we just want to feel the love from within. And certain things can help us get there, but it's really that journey inside.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people out there feel so helpless when it comes to our world right now and like what's happening. I mean, if you really look into what's happening in our world, I mean, they're pulling out all the stops for us to crumble and get lost in all of the fear. And what we don't understand is, the more work you do on yourself, that's how you win. Like, truly. One of Rachel's quotes is, a light worker doesn't just stay in the light and pretend like it's always light. A light worker goes into the darkness with the light that they are. And that's why this battle, we think it's like, well, we can't fight against the system and all that stuff. It's like, no, go in. Just go in. Just keep going into yourself and keep healing, because in the healing is the elevation, right? And the more of us that continue to take responsibility over ourselves, this is how we change the world, truly. And I can only say that because I'm living it. And it doesn't mean that's easy. It does not mean that it's easy. But man, can you love yourself through every moment of this journey, truly? Like, I constantly come back to, how can I have more grace for myself right now? How can I have more love for myself without bypassing anything? Because you can even bypass it. Well, just like, I'll just love myself through. Like, I'll just like, but it's like, no. You'll feel the vibration of when you're really saying that. And that's why this life right now is so crucial and so brutal and beautiful, because we are being asked, our souls came here to do this. And yeah, you have free will choice, and we constantly have a choice. And it comes down to, what will you choose? Will you choose to go back, or will you choose to go forward? Because even in the going forward, it sometimes will feel like you're taking a few steps back. But if you keep showing up for yourself, you keep going in, you keep bringing love to your pain, you're doing it. You're doing it.
Yeah, this last week I've had that come through, like the why is this showing up again? Why is this part of my healing journey showing up? I thought I've already been through this. And it's just that reminder of, like, how well do you know this work?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to let your programs take over, or are you going to drop in and really feel all of this and be okay with it?
Yeah.
And not run programs on top of programs, because that's something we all do.
Yeah.
We're all on this hero's journey. We're
Yeah.
all doing it, and we all have a choice. So,
yeah. And we're sending you so much love. We are one. So I feel you. It is not easy, but man, that's our dog snoring. She's also agreeing it's not easy. But we just want to let you know that we're all in this together, and just keep going in, keep doing the work. If any of you want to work with us at masterselfuniversity.com, you can come visit us there, set up a free consultation to learn about our group classes, one-on-one coaching programs, relationship programs, our HSP, highly sensitive person programs, and learn more about how to do this work. And if you're being called to do it, set up a free consultation. This was the best decision of my entire life. It is truly, this work has saved me. I literally can't imagine if I didn't choose this, like where I would be right now. I'll tell you where I'd be. I'd be a mess. All right. And it's not that it's not messy right now, but man, having the tools to learn how to really navigate the mess saved my life. Saved my life.
Yeah.
Yep. So subscribe, share, like, comment, whatever it is. We love you. Thank you for being here with us every step of the way. And we're getting to the top. Sometimes it feels like we're not. We are. And we are sending you so much love. Till next time, we'll see you guys then.
Bye.
Bye.